Yeah. All right, so I guess
It's rolling.
it is rolling. It has been recording for a couple minutes now.
Maybe we'll cut that part out.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should.
Yeah, okay.
But hey, Dr. Stephen Hartman here, Adam Meringolo here. I'll try not to confuse those two. And welcome. And just kind of look at getting the outer hips open, and maybe a couple of we'll call them pilot tricks, arm balances. Yeah. So I'm actually going to have you get started on your back. How are you feeling?
I feel good today. I feel good. It's not as windy today, but it's picking up.
Of course, because we came right up here and bam, right on cue. All right, just take a few breaths. Let yourself relax.
I could tell the jokes are coming.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah, they were bad. I was teaching online class this morning and they were just like, bad. I think it is like if you eat like a lime and you know that face that you make? Yeah, or a lemon. But not like a Meyer lemon, right? Where they actually have sweetness to them, just pure. Yeah, they just go from bad to worse. All right, yeah, so you're relaxing on your back and hopefully that wasn't too much of a distraction. Right, just take an inhale. All right, and exhale, sigh it out. Right, and bend, bend your knees, place your feet on the mat, and leave your left foot where it is. Just cross your right ankle over your left. Right, and you're just gonna do like the figure four. Thread the needle. So your right arm goes in between your thighs. Right. Interlace your left fingers with your right fingers behind your left thigh. Other one. Left thigh.
Oh, this way.
And then come on in. Right. And then if you're tighten your outer hips. If threading the needle using your arms is difficult, right? What you can always do, and not that you need it, I'm just gonna have you come out of it for a little bit. So this might help some folks. Unthread the needle, uncross, and then just take your left leg up. You can bend your knee or not. And what you can do is just take a strap from here, right? Cross it over, and then, no. So you leave your left leg up, and take the strap down around the thigh. Brilliant. And then take your right ankle over your left. Right? Some people like to do this with straight legs. Some people like to bend their left knee or with a straight left leg. Right? And then the idea here is that, so it's like you have an extension to the arms. Right? Like I say, Stephen doesn't really need it, but sometimes, I don't know, after I've ridden a lot, I've, I feel a bit more tight. So if it might make a difference for you. And just thread the needle, draw your knee in, and yeah, let it feel good. You can keep the strap if you want, can let it go if you want. I just figured it might be good for anybody viewing to kind of just see that. And you can actually experiment with this. I love this idea. What if your left leg is straight? How does it feel? What if your left knee is bent? How does it feel? Is there one that's better for you today? Going with that, right? And what I'm going to really recommend from the outset here, from the get-go, is flaring your right toes. This one's, and then pressing to that big toe ball mound. And I don't know if you can see from the angle, but there's like an outer shin muscle. Annie Carpenter has once called it, maybe more than once called it, like a racing stripe on the outer part of the shin that turns on. Peroneus longus muscles help stabilize the knee joint. Okay. And let your shoulders relax. Maybe your knee comes in a little bit more. But what I want you to do for these last 5 breaths or so is squeeze your right ankle into your left thigh and squeeze outward through your right thigh. Right? So you'll notice it exactly like that. So at no point am I asking you to press on your knee joint. Maybe possibly your right hand going to your right thigh to roll it outward may be a benefit. But this idea that let's just press on the knee joint, it might help open the inner groin. It might destabilize the knee joint. Most folks don't have enough kind of accessibility, right, into engaging that outer shin muscle on command to really make this something that they want to endeavor. Maybe not that action, will make, ultimately injure the knee. But the thing is, if you're kind of training yourself just to press outward through the knee joint to put lateral pressure on it, over time, I can't see that being good, in certain postures, especially the more advanced ones. All right, take an inhale. And and then exhale, let it go. Just change legs. Right? So if you are using the strap, you'll unthread the strap, and then right leg goes up first, strap goes around, and then crossing over. And I'll tell you, it's like, as far as that order of operations goes, I'm somebody that like will oftentimes try to just thread using the strap after crossing my legs, and it's, you know, I think the other way is better. Kind of makes life a little easier. And come on in when you're ready. And again, try to really feel that the outer edge of your left foot, right, that it peels back. Brilliant. You can kind of maybe see when I do it, you know, the muscle does turn on a bit, kind of lifting the outer arch of the foot. Again, a lot of people that I've met, and I'm one, it takes sometimes like a couple of years to get really, really good awareness around there. Maybe a little less, maybe a little more, right? And then letting it feel good. And I really like Steven's idea with the strap, right? So he doesn't need the strap to thread the needle, but he just has both ends of the strap in his right hand. That way he can use his left hand to kind of roll that left thigh outward as he wants. Right? So I know the last one was a lot of there's some external rotation of the leg, but more emphasis on heart openers for king pigeon. This is going to be another what's called flying pigeon. It's going to make its way in. Galavasana is is a Sanskrit name. Truth be known, Galava was a sage, student of Vishwamitra, and was not a particularly good person or ethical person. I'll just put it that way, at least according to legend, right? So, you know, watch out with his name you invoke.
That means I should watch out.
You can do the posture, just not, you know, be like, oh yeah, I want to be like Galava. And maybe not. Right? Take an inhale and then exhale, let it go. Right? And then, you know, just take a moment, lose the strap, or you might keep it handy, depending, and you'll come in a happy baby. Right? So, you know, you can always have your hands, you know, Steven, again, doesn't need to have his hands behind his thighs. He goes for the outer edges of his feet. For many folks, that's the case. Some folks, if you're tight, hands behind your thighs is fine. You can always take a strap around the balls of your feet too and just pull down. Okay. So really any of the above work, right? We're just kind of we're not looking at, you know, the idea of hand to foot, right? So much as, well, what is the point of that? And the point of that is to be able to bring the knees down, maybe feel it in the outer hip. I feel it more in my inner groin when I do this. Habitual stuff plus biking. Right? Like yesterday I did, for those of you in the area, Hawk Hill, and then went up to one and actually did the climb from Panoramic from Stinson all the way up, and then all the way up to the east peak of Mount Tam.
Nice.
Yeah, had to stop and eat a bunch of sunflower seeds about halfway. Right, and that's, it's an I'm feeling it today, I'll put it that way. All right, take an inhale.
That's big time.
Exhale, pull your knees to your chest and really squeeze in, round your upper back, curl in, you know, thinking like an egg. You can actually wrap your hands, some of you maybe even forearms around the fronts of your shins. Can you pull your collarbones apart? Yes. And then round, squeeze your low ribs down. So in a way, this is a prep for probably crow pose is going to be one of the more obvious ones, right? But learning to kind of pull the low ribs in, stretching your low back. Some of you might really need that. All right, take an inhale, exhale, rock up and down the length of your spine. And, you know, make your way to down dog. You might do a few rounds. Oh, he does that better than I do. Might do a few rounds of cat and cow first. Choice is yours. Right? Some folks really need to kind of lubricate the spine. That's a lot of hip focus, not necessarily quite as much focus on the, you know, on the spine itself. Nice. And then upper outer arms, of course, wrapping back. Yeah. Nice. That's a nice little variation. And making your way to down dog when you're ready. Right. And you know, just kind of noticing, especially if one shoulder likes to drop a little bit, right, shift about halfway to plank. Right? For today, especially, pull your collarbones apart. Yes, and you see that extra space that he gets, spreading the collarbones. You can do that again. Just kind of let it slack a little bit, and then really pull the collarbones apart. Now, very, very slowly, send your hips up and back, down dog. Try not to lose the rotation of the arms, right? So, you know, and I was talking to Stephen about this an off the mat thing that I've been experiencing and working with, right? That idea of kind of noticing the feedback loop, right? Noticing the habitual, the pattern. In my case, it was something like a brain loop. And we use the asana practice as a tool for that. Right? The idea is that these things are somewhat analogous, and we can do on the mat, off the mat. There are certain lessons that carry through. All right, next inhale is going to lift your right leg all the way up. All right, as you exhale, shift forward, pull your knee into your chest, round your upper back like the Dickens. Maybe Charles Dickens, maybe another Dickens if you know another Dickens. All right, inhale, right leg lifts up and back. All right, exhale, right knee, left armpit. Right, and shift way forward here. Try not to let your right hip kind of, drop. Yeah, try to squeeze your right sideways. You'll notice he was really good about correcting the shoulder. Right leg up and back. Exhale, step it through. Right, and then lower your back knee or not. Left hand is coming to the inside of your right foot and twist. Right, so you might have a block underneath that left hand for some really support, but really making it so that what you can do is kind of pull your heart forward and turn. Right? And the idea is that, if the block is too low or if your hand is on the ground and you could benefit from some elevation, right? You'll notice that what happens is it becomes easier when you lift a little bit to pull that right knee in. In Stephen's case, I'm going to have him walk his right foot to the right so the knee points straight ahead. So front foot, other way. Yeah, so the knee points more straight ahead. The idea is to kind of stabilize again through the knee joint, left shoulder out of your left ear, and then as you begin to twist, is there a tendency to lean away from the twist? Can you bring your torso more forward? So shift lower down, low ribs in, and then feeling, right, as you go to turn, left hip swivels, right ribs hug in as they turn, right hip pulls back. That might open the outer right hip. As you inhale, take your right arm over your right ear. Exhale, hands come all the way down. All right, tuck your back toes, lift your back knee. Inhale to plank. Right, and then find like a neutral spine here. Little anchoring of the tail, little lift up and in of the front hip points. As you exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana, the four-limb staff pose, cobra or up dog, whatever you're ready for. Shoulder heads back, nice. Exhaling up and back, down dog. Same thing, second side. Left leg lifts on the inhale. Right, as you exhale, shift forward. Right, pull your knee to your chest, collarbone spread, upper back rounds, and then inhale, left leg up and back. And exhale, step it through. Nice. And then, lower your right knee if you did on the other side and begin to twist. All right. Other way. Okay, so right hand comes to the inside of your left foot. There it is. And then turning from there.
That was a weird confusion.
Maybe in some ways it's almost like the inner groin needs to open or something, right? Maybe something subconscious. So make extra sure to get to that. And then can you lower your torso more? Can you feel the crown of your head draw forward? And then if you find that you're leaning away, exactly, it's like your right rib and left thigh, they try to move towards each other. Really, it's your right ribs moving to your left thigh staying in place, right? And then squeeze the inner left heel down, feel that left thigh bone suck back. Brilliant. One inhale, left arm over your left ear, feel the side stretch. Exhale, hands come all the way down. Again, back toes tuck, back knee lifts. Inhale to plank. Right, hold here in plank. As you exhale, really feel the tail anchor. Low ribs hug in, take one more inhale. Keep a neutral spine as you exhale. Work your legs in order, right? So you begin to lower down. Work your legs in order to lower to Chaturanga Dandasana. Right, elbows bending. Right, and then press your hands down and forward. Lift your heart. Come to cobra or up dog. Right, shoulder heads back. Nice and really good pressing down through the tops of the feet. Take an inhale. Exhale up and back, down dog. And Mukha Svanasana. And then, just kind of feel into it a little bit. If you're low back, and I should have mentioned it at the beginning of the practice, but c'est la vie, if your low back's a little tight, feet can always go a little wider. If your hamstrings are tight, knees can bend a little bit more, so you really feel that sense of hip flexion, pressing your hips up and back, right? Once you've gotten that, you prioritize that, and then feel like maybe the legs go a little more straight, right? Or feet come, a little closer to that 6 to 8 inch distance apart. All right, take an inhale here. As you exhale, bend your knees, look past your hands. step or jump, hips high. Nice, making your way to the top of the mat. Inhaling Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold. Right. Take a look at your feet here. Notice if one foot turns out a little more than the other. Try to get very symmetrical, brilliant. Now, bend your knees, grab your big toes. Right? And what you're gonna do, you're not gonna try to rip your toe upward, but you are gonna lift it and press down through the big toe ball mounds. Pull your heart forward, inhale. Right? Keep pressing the tops of your calves forward, exhale, fold from your hips. Right? So right to Padangusthasana. Try to bend your elbows out on this one. It's not immediately obvious, right? Everything else we're hugging in, this one we're coming out. And then collarbones spread. Shoulder blades draw down your back. Your neck and head exactly release, right? So that there are multiple things going on here. You're turning on, I think teres, but definitely lats. Keeping the collarbone spreading so those upper traps stay out of it, right? Each inhale, it's gonna be a subtle lengthening of the front torso. Exhale, belly to spine, squeeze your feet down. Feel your pelvic floor kind of draw in. Right? And it's not an exaggerated movement with breath, right? But there's a little bit of that happening, right? You are noticing that cycle. Exhale everything first. Really try to pull your belly into your spine. Inhale lifts you up about halfway. Exhale, hands to your hips. Inhale lifts you up the rest of the way. Exhale, hands go to heart center. All right, Surya Namaskara, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reach all the way up. Exhale, fold you forward. Inhaling Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or jump, Chaturanga Dandasana, the four-limb staff pose. Nice. It's really good. Cobra, Ordi up dog. Right? And then exhaling back to down dog, about 5 breaths you need. And there's this sense of ease, yeah? Right? The sense, you can feel that there is some effort moving your upper inner groins back, but also that subtle sense of lifting the inner arches, right? So you are finding ease amidst effort here, right? And that sense of retention of awareness amidst ease, right? So not going too far to either end of the spectrum. Take one more inhale. Exhale, bend your knees, look past your hands, step, jump in front of the mat. Nice. Inhaling the Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale to fold. Right. Inhale, stands you up all the way. Exhale, hands to heart center. Right. And now bend into your knees, Utkatasana, chair pose. Right. And here longer than you want to be. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. So you did this in the beginning of the practice, right? But now you're doing it in chair pose because it's a lot more pleasant. And begin to, maybe your left knee bends more, but just like Stephen did, really brilliant adjustment. Can you hug that outer left hip in so there's stability there, right? The outer glute works, the outer shin muscle works. Now, if your arms need to come down, they come down, but if you can, keep your arms by your ears, let your palms face each other. Feel that your pinky tips start deep in your low back. Begin to fold from your hips. Keep the rest of the posture as it is, right? Try to feel that your front torso elongates and that line from your sacrum all the way to your pinky tips gets longer. Collarbone spread, maybe arms lower enough to turn your palms up. You begin to stumble a little bit, so do I. Take an inhale. Exhale, come on upright. Right? Inhale, arms up, right leg forward. Keep your arms up. Exhale, right leg lowers. Two sides, yes. Sit low, Utkatasana, chair pose. Right? And again, left ankle over your right thigh. Right, so doing the figure 4 here, and you can really probably feel that there's a sense of squeezing the left ankle against your right thigh, pressing out through your left groin, and again, begin to fold from the hips. Try not to lose the rest of the posture. Right? And so you're not collapsing forward. There's a sense of core length, strengthening here as you elongate the front torso. Outer right hip hugs in. Maybe you're still breathing. And there's this sense, if your arms are by your ears, if you lower them just like an inch or two, can you turn your palms up more, keep the collarbone spreading, and then lead with the pinky edge of the hand, the arm, lift your arms back towards your ears, take an inhale. Exhale, come upright. Take your left leg forward, arms up, if you can. Exhale, both feet down, standing, Tadasana Mountain Pose. Right, and that's it. You stumble out, you just come right back into it. Right, the ground here isn't totally level, and you know, I stumble all the time, trust me. Can you keep your tail anchoring? Can you keep the inner groins rolling back and then lift from the back ribs as if you could, right? Feel maybe the lower ribs hugging a little bit more, right? So what you're doing is, in a sense, and it's as if you're elongating that iliopsoas system, yeah? All right, bend into your knees, Utkatasana chair pose. Right? As you exhale, step just your left foot back, turn your left heel down, warrior one. Right? What I really want you to do here is feel that right thigh suck into the hip socket, left ribs roll forward. Right? And what Stephen's doing, he's leaning a little bit forward, and I'm actually not opposed to that idea. In fact, I'd recommend it for today. Right? Feel that the left thigh rolls in. Most folks will not have their left foot turned out this much. Right? He can because of the shape of his pelvis. Right? Right? And lower down a little bit more, almost everybody. Right? Watching this, and can you pull your low ribs in a little bit here? So hug in from here. Yeah, and you feel that engage. Yeah. Take an inhale, exhale, hands down, and we'll call it lackadaisical pyramid, right? As if the architect of that pyramid was to be exiled from the ancient Egypt. So you can just straighten your right leg. Right? And the idea is you can just release your right hamstring, maybe stretch it a little bit, because I know that's got to be freaking intense. Right? And then just take an inhale. Audible sigh, exhale, let your belly soften in. Exactly. Let your neck and head release. All right, think like wet noodle. Right? And then slow bend into your right knee. And step up to the front of the mat. Ardha Uttanasana, inhale. Exhale to fold. Bend into your knees, Utkatasana chair pose. Right? And step your right foot back. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. And it's going to be the same thing. Right, and you'll notice Stephen walked his left foot to the left to accommodate balance here to make sure that his left leg is neutral in the hip socket. Right, so he's not overly pressing out through his left thigh. He's not overly working his inner groin here. And then lower your torso. Right, maybe bend more to the front knee. Can you keep your right hip rolling forward? Brilliant. Left thigh bone sucking back, so that there's a sense of getting very even and very long in both sides of the waist in what they call the coronal plane. Right? If your arms are still by your ears, from sacrum to pinky tips get longer, and then lift your heart, hug your low ribs in. So again, back body elongates, front body elongates. That requires core support. Take an inhale, exhale, hands all the way down. And then again, lackadaisical pyramid. Insert other semi-witty reference here. Right? A couple of breaths.
Semi being the main term there.
and generous at that, right?
Sometimes, you know.
All right, just take an inhale and audible sigh as you exhale. And you might even feel that it's almost automatic that your belly draws in and up, right? The Uddiyana Bandha. Right? And then again, slow bend into your knees. Left knee, come to the ball of your back foot, step up to the front of the mat first. Inhaling Ardha Uttanasana, pull your heart forward. Exhale, fold. Right. And then this time, inhale, stand up all the way. Feel the front hip flexors open. Right. Back ribs, lift, heart lifts. Exhale, hands to heart center. Bend into your knees. Inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, fold you forward. Inhaling Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, step or jump, Chaturanga Dandasana, the four-limb staff pose. Nice. That was brilliant. Cobra or the up dog. Saw that little bit of hang time you got there. That's awesome. And then making your way back to down dog as you're ready. And just in the name of efficiency here, inhale is going to carry your right leg all the way up. Right, exhale, step it through. Right, left heel turns down. Inhale to the warrior one. Right, this time exhale opens you to warrior two. Right, and really, feeling that right knee points more or less straight ahead, right? That right thigh is wrapping out and under. In fact, especially for today, take your right hand to the top of your right thigh, right? And then, you're not gonna let your knee just bow outward, but just kind of clear the upper part of the right thigh outward. Right? It might feel like you're clearing some space, and you can bend a little more to the front knee. Helps to open the inner groin. And then everybody squeeze your left hip forward. Use that, yes, to lift your right hip a little more off your right thigh. Right? So the hips get about equidistant to the ground. Right? There might be a point at which the left hip drops below your right. Press down more through the inner foot if that's the case. So this idea of consistent and perpetual, in fact, effort and return. Right? So really working to open the inner groin, straighten your right leg, take an inhale. Right? As you exhale, reach out and over. Right? Feel your right side waist get longer, just like this, and then into the triangle. Right? And then for many folks, that left hip needs to swivel a little bit more forward. Right? Left toes can turn in a little bit more because you want the toe, the knee, the hip congruent. Right? And then can you feel the sense of that right thigh again wrapping out and under without leaning back? So lower ribs continue to hug in. Big toe ball mount presses down more, even presses down and forward so that there's that rebound effect. And you might feel it down the hamstring, you might feel it down the inner groin. Take one inhale here. As you exhale, bend your right knee, take your left arm over your left ear. Parshvakonasana, bend your right knee more if you can. Brilliant, keep that. On your next exhale, come back to warrior two. Nice, inhaling, reverse to warrior, reaching up and back. Right. Hold here as you exhale. Can you lift a little more from your right hip? Yes. Take an inhale. Exhale, windmill it down. Cobra, the up dog. You can make your way back to down dog as you're ready. All right. And then inhale is going to carry your left leg up and back. And then exhale, step it through. Right, again, right heel turns down, inhale to the warrior one. Right, exhale, opens you to warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. Right, and that left thigh, really make sure that it doesn't collapse in, and then take a quick look at your left foot. Is your left foot, the front foot, yeah, you're doing what you think, yep. Right, so that there's that sense, the toe, the knee, the hip congruent. Right, and you'll notice Stephen's doing a really good job of getting length on the front side body, but you'll notice as he's going to do this, that right hip is dropped a little lower than his left, so so he's changing really nothing. He's just gonna press his inner right groin out to the outer thigh, just a little bit, right? It's almost as if somebody had a strap, oops, sorry, in this case, I'll be that somebody. There's an Aaliyah reference there in case you didn't know, right? Take the strap to the inner groin, and then, really just kind of gently guiding back. The idea is that the inner arch lifts, yeah, and you feel that sense, almost like you're pulling your pelvis wider. Be careful if you're doing this, if you're late in pregnancy, relaxed and all that. You don't want to start messing around with that, right? Straighten your left leg, reach it forward, right? And then reach forward, out and over, Trikonasana, the triangle posture. And I'm going to, thank you, be the extra set of arms here, getting a block, doing the work I'm supposed to do, right? And then, yeah, he already knows. Right? If that right hip, for many folks, if the right hip swivels forward just a little bit, right, what it does is it allows, right, for that left thigh to press back more and helps to more easily create elongation along the inner groin, along the left side waist. Right? Really what you're doing is you're clearing a knob called the greater trochanter out of the way on the left side. And the knob is here. I'm not slinging insults, we're talking about doors. And I think that's a UK insult, isn't it? All right, and then slowly one time, just bend into your left knee. And just like Stephen does, keep that left knee pointing straight ahead, right arm over the right ear. Parshvakonasana, just enough to remember how much you love it. Keep the back leg strong, take an inhale. Exhale is gonna bring you back to warrior two. And then, reverse your warrior. And keep the back leg a little stronger, especially the inner groin, lift it to the outer thigh. Nice, and then again, feeling that left hip, just like Stephen does here, really awesome, right? Lifting that left hip off that left thigh, inhale. Exhale, windmill it down, cobra or the up dog, to make your way back to down dog. Take an inhale here. Exhale, bend your knees, look past your hands. Step or jump, front of the mat. Nice. Inhaling, Ardha Uttanasana. Right, exhale, fold. inhale is gonna stand you up all the way. And then exhale, hands to heart center. And then you can leave your hands at heart center or bring them to your hips very, very briefly. Right? What you'll do is you'll just send your left leg back and come into warrior three. You can bend your other leg first.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a reason behind this approach. Really feel, and just like Steven does, notice how even he's keeping his hips in that transition. That's a key, right? But I really want him to feel maybe pointing through his toes on this so he can feel the inner left thigh roll more to the ceiling and tailbone lengthen back. And as he's doing that, right, he's gonna lift his frontal hip points up and kind of draw them in, angle them in, right? So that he has core support. Take an inhale, squeeze down through your right foot, come to standing exhale. Right? And just take a moment, reset, right? So that really working this idea of as you know that lifted leg, the back leg moves into position, there's a rolling into the thigh and a lengthening of the tail, right? And you know, and I think that the back leg is often understated in really a lot of these kind of arm balances we'll see in flying pigeon, right? And then right hip probably needs to roll down, so it's not a glute clench. In fact, the more that you can learn to roll that right thigh in and anchor the tail down, right, the more you'll find that the arm balances get easier, right? Because you get that sense of deep low belly work. Take an inhale, exhale brings you all the way up. Nice, that was really, really well done. Like really well done.
Thank you.
Bend into your knees, Utkatasana, chair pose, right? And then cross your right ankle over your left thigh, right? And then so you're in the figure four again, right? And don't be afraid to like pull your, really squeeze out through that right thigh. Squeeze your right ankle into your left thigh and then begin to fold forward. So you might just come back to this and be like, wow, this is a delightful second round. If you need to bend your left knee more, place your hands on the mat, preparing for the Ekapada Galavasana, the flying pigeon, right? Now maybe, right, you can begin to bend into that left knee, kind of come onto the ball of the foot, right? And the idea here is what you're gonna do is hook your right toes on the outside of your left tricep. Right? And then from there, there's a sense that elbow tips turning back, the collarbone spreading. You begin to kick your right shin into your triceps, right? And begin to shift forward, right? And you might have to take the arms in a little bit to do this, into the flying pigeon. Now for that to be effective, the right toes have to get way up on that left calf, or left tricep.
Try again.
Yeah, exactly, and that's it, right? If things are like slipping, sliding, that can be difficult, especially if you're in like a sweatier environment. Towel over the arm can be helpful. And then, can you feel that sense of the hook, right? And then I'm curious, if you lower your
Does it help to do this on blocks?
You know what? Let's give it a shot. Right. So let's and we're experimenting with this. Blocks are going to be on the lowest setting, right? And then I think what? I think it might depend. And if you lower your right foot a little bit, does it let you lift your left knee or right knee a little higher? That's my question.
Yes.
Right. And so that's it. If your foot is too high, your knee is going to drop out, right? So if you, just like Steven's doing, kick that right shin into the arms. Use that to send your left leg back. And you see as he began to do that, it was that same principle as moving into warrior three. Although, because you're moving from a bent knee to a straight leg, it's a little bit more difficult. And then I'm going to give him a moment before he goes to the second side, and I'm going to attempt to demo this myself.
Please. Because for me, the issue was becoming unhooked.
Exactly, and I noticed on the second side, or on the right side, that knee was, and camera angle doesn't reveal it, knee was dropping below your elbow. You lowered your foot, the hook became easier, the knee lifted. So all of a sudden, you had the leverage, the ability of both triceps here, right? And I'm going to try to set myself up. I'll just do it and see what happens. Screw it. And believe it or not, the right side is a harder side for me. I'm just going to turn this way, maybe angle a little bit, so you can see a bit of what's going on. I don't have the general external rotation that Steven does. I wonder if for me, it might be a little bit helpful here. I also haven't gotten to practice asana this morning and rode, I don't know, 60-ish miles yesterday. Toe separators are coming out, so you know it's serious. And there's this sense of pulling the heart forward, lifting the pubic bone up and back. Now, hands are gonna go right down. Toes, like my toes are wrapped around my tricep. I'm kicking my shin forward. My toes are hooked as if it was a pirate captain. And then, left leg extends back. The idea is I can kind of roll that left thigh in, anchor the tail down, pull the heart forward, so I can go back to chaturanga. All right, second side, when you're ready.
For me, the blocks helped because the height made it easier to push my foot back. I don't know.
Interesting.
You think I should stay with it?
Yeah, stay with it. I mean, if it works, go with it, right?
Otherwise, I had a clearance issue. All right, wait, which side am I on? This side?
Yeah.
This side's going to be easier for me. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. And see, his foot's pretty high up on the right tricep. And where's the knee? See, the knee is above the elbow.
So I want it below?
No. Like, yeah, because I feel like that might be a little easier. Okay, so that way your whole shin can just kick forward and send your leg back. And so it's both at the same time. Kick your left shin forward to send your right leg back, yeah? And then, feel maybe the tail anchor towards that inner right ankle. Nice, you see that? It's freaking awesome. All right, shoot it back, chaturanga. There it is. Down dog when you're ready. Nice. Now it's really brilliant on the second side. Nice. All right. Take one inhale. Exhale. Shift forward to plank as you exhale. Right? Feel the belly draw in. Take an inhale here. Just exhale, lower all the way to your belly. Right? Reach back. You can hook a thumb, interlace fingers. Really point your toes here, and then elongate your toes back. Lift your heart. Right? If you really want to lift your legs, try to lift your inner thighs more than your outer thighs. Really often we get into this thing where the heels collapse in. So repel your heels. And turn your thighs in more. Yeah. So that low back gets a little wider. Inhale. Exhale lowers you all the way down. Right. And you can switch the interlace of your fingers. You can always use a strap. If it works for you, bend your knees. Grab the outer edges of your feet. Dhanurasana, bow pose. Hasn't been very much in the way of a quadricep hip flexor opening, so I might recommend starting with your thighs on the mat. Kick your shins back more, right? So try to press your shins straight back. You'll notice when Stephen does that, his heart lifts a little higher, right? And then if your knees begin to splay, can you hug them in, maybe right side more for you? Can you press out through your feet so they don't collapse in? Nice, take an inhale. Exhale, belly to spine, lower all the way down. Let your palms rest face up by your sides. Neck and head release. And in most cases, I do really recommend turning to the, if you turn your chin, turning to the tighter side first. And then you can switch other side. Reason why, in many cases, what happens is that we spend more time on the first side. It happens with almost every teacher that I've ever come across. And then, there's a story about BKS at Yangar, him being asked about that. Why do you always spend more time on the first side? And it's like, said one side teaches the other side. Apparently said so very angrily, right? Which, the other folks that have practiced with him or been with people that are close to him, they can speak to that more than I can. But there is something about being able to find the second side more easily, but I think when it comes to releasing tension in certain parts of the body, it's not necessarily the case. take an inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. And then, you know, if you need to bend your knees and give your feet a little bit of a waggle, go for it. Nice, y'all. And just kind of check in, you know, maybe a final twist before Shavasana. Maybe you find that you need something else. You know, in this case, just taking a moment to open front hip flexors a little bit more. And you may find that the twist here, you know, following some of the kind of inner groin opening and the back bends, that might be a benefit. It also adds kind of a cyclical nature to it, right? Starting with a little more awareness in the twist, and then kind of ending with a very passive return to that awareness. Happy baby was more or less right at the start of the practice, and here it is returning again. In Stephen's case, you might be doing something similar, right? But just take a moment, slide into Shavasana as you're ready. And you know, in a live setting, I would never leave students in Shavasana, but I find, like, you know, if you're doing an at-home practice to a video, it's good to be able to forget. You know, kind of not have to worry about the camera or video turning the video off, right? And you're already at home, or hopefully in a place where you can be very, very comfortable. Hopefully you're in a place where you can take up a lot of space. And you know, and even in Shavasana, there's a sense of completely letting go, right? You're effectively doing nothing, but there are definitely different variations. And you know, you might place something across your eyes or your low belly for a little bit more of a grounding sensation, or take up more space, spread out limbs for a little bit more, you know, freedom, liberation. You might do a little of both, right? The idea is to kind of really allow yourself to be in a position where you can be completely settled, right? And maybe even recognizing your habits when you settle, and putting yourself in a position where you can really rejuvenate, right? Which might be require something different than what your habit invites in. Right? So take as long as you want here. On behalf of Dr. Stephen Hartman and myself, have a great day. Namaste.